Okay, hello to everybody and welcome to another video. Uh, confronting just pro. This is the first time they added somebody, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that's interesting. What she do?
Things as a whole white content creator. She was born in the States, but then is now based over the pond over in London, and she makes some relationship style videos. In this type of
I do know about that.
style format that she makes, a majority of the people that are employed by her and have the conversation are black people, in particular a lot of Africans, because they
Really?
migrated over to where she lives. The reason why all this is important is because it seems like she's making a pivot in her content, being more political based and ideology based, regardless if it's right or left. And her first guest that she decided to bring on was Nick Fuentes.
Oh, I'm
Who's
not
that?
racist.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Nick.
Yeah, I am a little bit
Oh.
Yeah,
racist.
I know.
But
Yo,
listen,
what?
but it's not because I hate people. I love people. It's just race is real. Maybe some brajol.
Bro, that's the dumbest shit ever, bro. I want to hear why you're racist. Like, nigga, you're not gonna like me because my skin color is black. Bitch, I could throw black. I could leave you outside, you get sunburned, and then you turn to a different color. Bitch, you could get a tan and you'll be a different color. Bitch, I could throw. I know he's talking about races, but I'm just talking about skin color. But I find that shit dumb. Nigga, we all originated from one place originally. And then everybody just split up in their atmosphere or whatever their surroundings affected them. So that's why there's different races now. But you go on, okay, then. Whatever.
There's some Italian
No,
for
but
you.
I will make my black boyfriend some of that.
Ugh, wow. You don't know any better.
She had him
Of course.
on the podcast. It was very clear that she was unaware of the conversation that was being had. She was not properly informed, something that she openly admitted as well.
Everything that happens in life, as I say to the girls on my show, is my own fault. The fact that people are making these videos is my own fault. And the situation that I'm in is my own fault. Now, I'm going to
she's
give you
taking
guys an
accountability.
explanation and give you guys context for some
For
of the
that.
conversations that were had. Just know it's not an excuse. It's my own fault. I take full accountability for everything that happened.
And while doing so, said a bunch of things that were very problematic. The first thing she brought up was immigration. Right? They were talking about immigration. Nick Fuentes being a purist. He believes that the border should be locked down. Nobody should be able to come in. But Howard Pearly thinks, she believes, no, it needs to be opened up. It needs to be more broad and more robust in terms of allowing more people to come in. So much so that she used the phrase that she wants to bring her Africans over to America.
She wants to bring all her Africans or just some?
All her Africans.
God.
I wouldn't say that it should be locked down, but I wouldn't say it should be completely open. It should be like in the middle. In the middle, everything is almost always good in the middle. Like you don't eat too much good stuff and you don't eat too much bad stuff. You eat just in the middle. Because too much of something good, it's still bad for you. So that's my opinion on that.
And during this conversation, we were talking about immigration. And I said, I'm trying to get my Africans to America.
Of course, not the greatest phrasing,
Yeah.
right? Especially when you're dealing with somebody who was a known racist. Another comment that she made about was CP time. You know, what people don't know, that is color people time. It's an ongoing joke amongst black people who are always late.
I told you I'm on my way because I thought I was already 10 minutes late when I was leaving.
Yeah, well,
So-
it's okay. Blessing was more late African.
Well, he's black.
Yeah.
Mm.
See that black person right there? See that African right there? My employee, they're always late too, man. Don't worry about it. And also at the end of the conversation, one of her other employees
I feel like that joke, only black people can make that joke. The black people always late joke. I feel like I do be saying that, but that's because I'm late. I'll be like, yeah, I'm always late, but that's because I don't want to leave the house.
who also is Italian, Nick Fuentes is Italian apparently, and said that she denounced Nick Fuentes and all the Italians denounced her. And Nick Fuentes' response was,
And the Italians, we do not claim you.
Oh, hey, the Italians don't claim you. You're the one dating a black guy. The Italians don't claim me. They don't claim.
What? I mean, I guess races or religions, or would it be religions? Or like, I guess they have their own circle where they like dating inside of their culture or whatever. Because I mean, that's only because so then you already know their culture, and then you don't gotta learn somebody else, and then you don't gotta step on other people's toes. I guess it's like comfortability, I guess, right?
Claim you.
But this
Oh, no,
dude
they
is
claim me.
crazy.
They claim me.
I don't think so.
They do.
Italian guys, yeah.
Italians,
Tell an
we're
Italian
big- we're
guy
big
about your
lovers.
affinity for black guys.
I don't
That'll
think
go
he
over
would
real
care
well.
though. Bro, Why is he laughing? It wasn't
Good
even
one, Nick.
funny. That was weird.
I'm going to be as optimistic as possible and say that the reason why there wasn't a pushback or any type of ongoing conversation with some of those comments is that, maybe, just tongue in cheek, maybe a couple of bad jokes here and there, but the thing that really pushed it over the edge is that Pearl was claiming that she agreed with Nick Fuentes that some of the atrocities over human history are embellished to control the narrative. And for whatever reason, Pearly Things thought it was relatable to say that slavery in America was also embellished.
This sounds similar to the slavery stuff too, because that's
Hold on. Just so then I don't get this wrong. What the fuck embellishment? And I don't even know how to spell it. It'd be like this. Embellish. Make something more attractive by the addition of, probably not, make statement or story more interesting or entertaining by adding extra details, especially that ones that are not true. So she is saying that slavery in America was added onto to make it worse than it sounded. Okay.
that's literally the founder of, or the guy who
Is
made
that
Roots said, I wanted a myth for my
what she
people to
said?
live by. So they often, but that's what they do is they embellish, and I'm not trying to say it wasn't horrible, it was,
Right.
Oh,
but they
okay.
want to make it like more horrible so that they can control people.
But wouldn't you make it less horrible so then you could control people? Because then they would be like, look, it wasn't as bad back then. Why would you make it sound worse or make it worse? That makes no sense. That
I
makes
just
no
like,
sense.
how do you embellish
Yeah,
like the murder of like the hundreds of thousands of
yeah, that
millions of
makes no
people,
sense.
regardless of the tragedy? Like, how could you not talk about that enough? Bro, if that's in your history, like if you have ancestors that have been through that, talking about it, talking about how brutal it was, is embellishing it. That was its reality.
The crazy
that's
part
so
of
rich coming from somebody who hasn't seen, who will never see that type of hardship in their life.
Never,
That's
no.
super rich.
What's even crazier is that she said that and used a reference point that is like a blimp in human history. She referenced the Roots, and the Roots, for those who don't know, that's even if you never heard of it, you definitely understand some context. Kunta Kinte, that's where that character comes from, and the whole scene of like your name is Toby and all. That's where that's from, right? That series was shown on TV throughout the 70s or 80s, if I'm not mistaken. But it was shown on network TV in America, and trust me when I say, even though some of what was being told in there is a bit of a myth because apparently it's supposed to be some type of story depicted from somebody's lineage. However, the depiction of slavery in Roots is so far from embellishing what actually happened that you calling that embellishment is a gross, and I do mean a very gross and irresponsible take on what Roots was, especially since there literally cannot be anything that is shown on network TV that would even come close to giving an accurate depiction
That's
of what
true.
slavery actually
Because
was, because you
everything
can't
that's
show
like
that
low
type of
key
stuff
censored.
on TV anyway. So the idea that was an embellishment, when the reality is that most media around slavery in the States has been utterly whitewashed, has been toned down, has been suppressed in so many ways, to come up with the take that it's been embellished when it's been the opposite. Again, very irresponsible. Same thing with Adam 22, where it seems like there's a bunch of white creators or people who are creators who infiltrate themselves in communities that they're not that familiar with, that they do not know much about, but they see the opportunity. When it comes to Adam 22, it was hip hop, and to validate himself in that space, he surrounded himself with a bunch of black people. However, he is so insensitive about the community and gave so little of a fuck about it. When given the opportunity, because he wanted to make the pivot, he brought in an own Ross's into the studio, interviewed him, and then told his black and brown employees, his employees of color, hey, y'all don't worry about who I got around here. Y'all just
He
need to
said that?
edit and upload these videos, get these clips out. Let's get it going now. And the same thing with Pearl. You are so insensitive to what's actually going on that you are participating in a conversation that, quite frankly, you do not belong in. But to validate who you are in the space of the black manosphere or just relationships dealing with black people, you surrounded yourself with a bunch of black people, regardless if it's African Americans or Africans or someone with some form of descent through Africa. You surrounded yourself around those people to validate yourself, put yourself in conversation that you do not belong in, and when it's time to make the pivot, because the money drying up, because there's so many times you can get off.
I found that my parents' relationship is easier because they've only dated each other and they've only had kids with each other.
There's so many times that you can get off.
If you're a virgin on your wedding night, you have an 80% chance of a happy marriage, but it drops to a 25% chance after like 5 to 7 partners. So you're basically ruined after like 5 to 7.
Y'all don't know no better, man. Y'all all, you say you were 10, you were 10. Huh, y'all not 10. Well, what's your dress size? How tall are you? So many times you can get that off. Now it's time to make the pivot, and you give so little a fuck about the people that you surrounded yourself with, who helped you build the platform, who you participate in the community with, that when you got the opportunity to bring on some more content, potentially your real colors showed, and you brought in somebody who's a racist, but didn't surround yourself with the people, those same people that you've been surrounding yourself with the entire time. None of them were a part of the dialogue. None of them were a part of the conversation. You didn't inform yourself to actually give pushback. When it comes to those black women, though, you're quick with those comebacks. But when it came to Nick Fuentes, for whatever reason, you thought it was acceptable for you to sit down with somebody and be ill-informed about that, even though that conversation is much more serious and much more severe than the fucking quirky, oh man, what do you look for in a man? But you still sat down, and once it was all done, you said, all right, let's get this going, chop this up, send this out, edit it, thumbnail, title it, make sure we get it live. And you were telling this to black people. Do you not understand how fucking crazy that sounds right now, bro?
I think it's not even like as much of a black issue, surprisingly. I think it's more of like a wanted to succeed by any means issue. Because
for sure,
she's seen other people get in the same problem for having the same guy on their fucking network, not knowing what they're talking about, letting him get his talking points off, and having nothing to rebut him with. Literally, we talked about it a fucking week ago, but even before that, I seen him in conversations with people just on regular live streams as well. I don't hear from this nigga when he's by himself. Niggas is deciding to give him a platform. If you're gonna give him a platform, at least have a conversation worth having. Don't go in there uninformed. So I think it's just like when you're incentivized to want to say and do extreme things all the time, those are the type of guests you're gonna want. Because you're not even thinking about like having a productive conversation as much as you want. You know he's gonna say something wild, you know you're gonna have a headline, and you're probably not gonna be the one catching the flack for it. That nigga is. So, but when people see it in the background, they can be like, oh look, this is a podcast over here. Enough times people are gonna start tuning into your podcast because they start seeing it everywhere. So it's actually in her interest. She is fully incentivized to want to bring people on that are egregious like him, have takes that are very extreme, because it's gonna give her content to work with. That's gonna be a clip she can get off on YouTube. That's gonna be I'm telling you, bro, I'm telling you how it works. And we never really did that with our pod. We didn't even really look for people when we did
the opposite.
We just like if you had a good story,
but
we wanted you on the
we
pod.
had somebody on the pod who was saying very extreme things. The gentleman.
Oh, we never uploaded.
And we never uploaded it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so there is a level of responsibility that you should have as a content creator, especially when you're having conversations to that level of severity. And I agree with you. It is a lot of someone just seeing the opportunity and pivoting. But I'm saying what's still happening, and I think it's crazy.
Not being informed when you're pivoting.
People who are being propped up in black communities, because if we keep an eye to ourselves, the ongoing dialogue with the manosphere and this ongoing traditional woman, the conversation that we've been having for the last year and a half now, almost 2 really, has been, let's keep it a bean, on social media, has been popping because of black creators. Not saying there aren't other creators doing it, but the ones who have made it popular the most are black creators. And I think Pearly Things saw an opportunity, infiltrated in the conversation to validate herself in that convo, surrounding herself with a bunch of black people. The reason why I say it is because when you listen to her talk, even about the relationship shit, bro, she just says things, bro. It sounds like she's pandering to people. She sounds like, as they call it, a pick-me. It doesn't sound like she has any actual intellectual thoughts, nothing really contextualized. It just sounds like she's regurgitating the same talking points that she's heard from someone else, and she just wants to be even more extreme about it. I.e.,
I don't think women should know.
Huh?
I don't think women should know.
Lord Jesus, keep on going.
Because there's freedom without responsibility. I believe in consequences for your decision. So the men
Nah, that's OD. That's going a little too far. I don't care if you vote or not. Go ahead.
know if they vote someone batshit crazy into power, you guys get drafted. We don't.
come on.
That's a fucking incredible quote.
Come on, women shouldn't vote because they don't want to have the responsibility of going to war.
That's what I'm saying.
That's such a crazy take to have.
I think social media incentivizes people to want to be more. We talked about that with Logan Paul when he went to the forest. I think that was the first time we seen an incident where everybody agreed like that was too far, and your pursuit of more had gotten you in trouble. But now we're seeing it in all these small ways ever since that forest incident, and they'll never get as much like flack as Logan did because what Logan did was crazy. But also he was at the top of the YouTube game back then. But I guarantee you, if this was like the biggest podcast ever, like if this was Joe Rogan's podcast and he did that, niggas being torn up for that. And Joe Rogan has in the past went into conversations and not knowing what he's talking about. There's no way to be an expert about anything, and you can't always guide the conversation. But in this specific instance, you went out your way to find somebody else going to say something extreme, rather than Joe, who just has interesting, philosophical, sometimes or otherwise just dumb conversations with people who sometimes can be smart or sometimes can be dumb. But like, you kind of have a responsibility to know what you're talking about, and you give off the guys, at least to the people that watch you, that you have a level of expertise when it comes to the relationship thing. But I think that just about anybody who watched that specific video will know that unfortunately you don't have no expertise when it comes to any of the conversation you was having with Nick Fuentes. You're not there yet, and just inform yourself, and that's like a process. Literally it.
It's just a process.
But nowadays, niggas just trying to think about how you can make revenue off it. And low key, I understand at the same time because you have people that you have hired that you disrespected on set, but you have people that you need to pay. There's bills that's you get hit every month regardless. So if your revenue falls off the map, that could be your business going under. That's the reality. In America and in most capitalist societies, bro, business is supposed to survive by any means necessary. So if there's something a business could do to survive and it hasn't explored it, usually you have to explore it. You have to explore it. Like, businesses don't have morals, they don't have ethics, and even though they probably should, it's why it's so ruthless. Niggas don't care about you. It's why your contracts have to be ironclad, because otherwise it just leaves room for someone to interpret it incorrectly and fuck you over in court. That's the reality of it. So I understand her trying to keep her business alive, doing a pivot into a different style of content, but you can ease your way into it. Use your brain. You can have more easy conversations with people about other life-related things without going to such a crazy extreme.
I don't know why she brought the racist
conversation. Inform yourself on what the fuck you think he's gonna talk about, or just guide the convo better. Tell him this, and this is gonna be the topics. We don't want to deviate from those topics. If it's your fucking show, you make the rules. So you create the rules, and if he's not playing in the framework, pack him up. In reality, man, you let him get his talking points off like this, and then you agreed upon it as well. Is just insane. Before I get into my personal opinion about everything, I just want to be clear again. Even in the most optimistic lens looking at it, I don't, and also in the general sense, I don't think Pearly is a Ross or anything like that. I just think in the most optimistic lens, it seems like somebody who's trying to pivot into another form of content, who's very uninformed, but doing it just to capitalize off of the momentum, and I think that's very irresponsible. My personal feelings behind it is I think, Pearly, you are a grifter. I think you are somebody who just panders. I think you're someone who says things that just needs to be said to keep the conversation going, because even by your own rhetoric and your beliefs in terms of relationship, you don't abide by that either. Like, the things that you criticize the women for, you don't abide by it. You are someone who is in their 20s, a woman who's in their 20s, who's extremely opinionated, career-oriented, and focused, which is something that you do not suggest for other people as well. And when anybody actually intelligent gives you pushback, and then you bring on other people who aren't prepared for the conversations a lot of times, just so you and the same concept that many other people do, so you can dunk on them. But then when you get some form of pushback, you can clearly see that you're just not as informed, even when it comes to the relationship situation, as much as you would like to be. And so when it comes across like you're pandering in there, and so now is the time for you to go pander somewhere else, and you brought in an extremist and you pander to him. That's what it comes across as. But yo, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and until next time, we'll see you all later. Peace.
I don't know if she's gonna watch this video because they added her. Like, that's the first time I've seen them actually at people, which probably means how important it is. Thumbnail. I'm sorry, Blacks is wild. Yeah, she usually cuts someone off for saying something wild, or she doesn't agree with it. The fact that she didn't even interrupt or debate him on his points says she either too afraid or says anything to say anything, or she agrees with what he was saying. I think she was just lost. Like, I feel like from watching that little part that they showed us, it looked like she was just lost. Like, it looked like her brain was just not there at all. Like, gone. Like, knock, knock, anybody home? Nope, nobody's home. Okay, then I'll be back in an hour. But that's probably it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. But like, subscribe, see you guys later. Hope you have a good day or night, and bye.